Hey, it's Ariel Anderson here, coaching you on your fertility and pregnancy path over 40, some 35, sometimes over 50. And I just wanted to welcome you back if you are one of my regular people. Otherwise, if you're new here, it's great to have you. Whether you're starting family for the first time or again in your midlife or on the way to midlife. It's great to have you. And definitely hit subscribe, and let's see you again next time. I have heard you don't always get the videos popping up, even when you subscribe, which is why I highly recommend down in the description grabbing one of my free resources, which is one is about the 7 steps to pregnancy, and the other one is about loss. And since this week we are honoring loss, it's a loss awareness around pregnancy and miscarriages and children. I'm sticking with that theme for this month or most of the month as I can. And definitely grab one of those, and then I can let you know directly in your email or whatnot as we go along, because I like to do some coaching in there too. I just want to dive right in. We're talking about partnership, pregnancy loss, and conception, because they're all very interconnected. I every week I have somebody I run into whose story just touches my heart. And even yesterday, unexpectedly talking to somebody in my community, I just felt my heart twinge as I heard a really lovely mom make a small comment about her own fertility journey, and I could feel sort of that undertone that I know that you know so well of, things aren't really working in the way that you expected, and it's really tricky. And the thing is that even when you've had a successful pregnancy that wasn't that difficult in the beginning, it's not about your age. It's not that you're doing something wrong. It's not any of those things that whirl around in your mind. What really is happening is that so much happens between, first of all, it can be about time, not about age, but about time, all the experiences that you've had, the emotions, the stories, the limiting beliefs that start to become a belief that feels so real, but what you think isn't necessarily what is. And I think we all fall in that trap. I think about, this week I used in my email the example of the fortune cookie. You kind of get excited. This is kind of like the first time that you're going to get pregnant, or you're working, or I don't like the word working, sounds like too not fun. When you're having the pleasure of making or working on creating a baby and a pregnancy, it's like when you go to a restaurant and you get that fortune cookie at the end, and you're just excited. It's like that first time, that first month that you're trying, and you think you're just gonna get that pregnancy test, and it's gonna all work out, and it's gonna feel good. And then you get the fortune cookie, and if you're lucky, you crack it open and there's something inspiring. Now, some of them sometimes are kind of weird, and you're like, what is that? That's not exciting for me. That's not encouraging and fun. But often you will get something, some proverb that makes you kind of go, oh, yeah, that's my little thing for the day. And it's sort of a game, and it sort of feels like an I Ching, something real, but, it still lights you up a bit. And then there are the moments where you crack open the cookie, and I know you maybe have had this too, and there's nothing inside. It's really a letdown. It's really a letdown if you crack it open and there's nothing there. And I feel like that is part of the fertility journey when it's not working out, is you crack open that fortune cookie and there's nothing inside. And I've had those moments, and I just literally like, I don't even eat the cookie. this, do the gluten-free thing most of the time. That fortune is important, and it is important. Of course, you want a positive test. You want to hear from your doctor, depending on what your path is. You want to hear, oh, look, everything's fine, everything's rolling, things are going in the direction you hope. And it's just, it starts to wear on you. Now you add into that partnership. Now I want to say briefly, because I know that you might be on a path on your own. And if you are, know that the partnerships that you have in your life to support your journey are counted inside of this. And also the first partnership, whether you have a partner, spouse, or other named person, or you're on your own. The truth is that the first partnership that you have to work on, the first partnership whose relationship matters, is the relationship to yourself and your body. Your partnership. I know it's not exactly what you expected maybe today, but we will talk about that other piece too. But that partnership with yourself, it's the promises that you keep to yourself. That's a big one. It's a big one in entrepreneurship as well, which is one of the pieces that we work on when I'm working with clients, as we are talking about and talk with you about, is that importance of being on your own path. Uh, Why is my connection bad? I'm right next to the router. Well, my router used to be doing great at 500. Somehow at this time of day, you're growing something. You know, you're growing your creativity. You want to do something with the business. There's something there, and that energy of focusing it there helps to distract you from that over focusing on why isn't this working, what's happening, and it's so key. And that's an episode for entirely different episode, but it is key to focus and give energy to what matters for you. So those keeping of promises. So that's the first place where sometimes there's a breakdown, because you will say, I'm absolutely not going to do this, or I am going to do that, and it may or may not always work the way you thought. Hello, humanity and life, right? And now you add in the piece another person, and you've got someone else's manifesting ability or inability, someone else's scarcity, which is, by the way, next week's episode, and someone else's path and fears and joys. Everything is intermingled, and the thing is they blend together, which is why you ended up together in the first place, and they also bump up against each other. Great opportunity for growth, and inside of this whole thing, it can be really challenging. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're out there in the chat, either now or on the replay, I encourage you to, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to check something because I want to make sure. So I think about, for you, do you know what I'm talking about? That moment where things are blending together or they're clashing? Have you had that? I would love to hear. Just, I'm curious, because these are some of those flags that you plant and the different things that are creating the blocks, the bumps in the road, and they're under the surface. So you don't necessarily always get that that they're really having a deep effect. So I will give you an example. And sometimes you can inspire one another, and sometimes it doesn't work that way. And that's often when those underlying surface things are happening, is when the fertility path is slowed and kind of muddled up, because there's stuff that needs to be sorted. And even if you have a great relationship, there's still stuff, because if you already have a child, there are things, it is inevitable. I have yet to meet anyone in the hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of meeting people around the world in different cultures, different, levels of security and abundance. Same stuff. Things come up, and it comes up, really gets kind of amplified when you have a little person or multiple little people or bigger ones in your life. And there's stuff to sort there. That's another episode. It's a very big topic I'm diving into with you right now. Yet, let me just get into the story. So, for an example, sometimes your destinies, your path, your stories are amplifying parts of you that are very stuck, and that's part of the story, right? So I can give an example of Mats and I were going through a massive transition at one point, and we were not living in a place that really fed us the inspiration, energy that we needed for our path. It wasn't us, it wasn't our space. It was a shared space. It was, a very challenging time, and we were starting to get stuck. It was, I have that video, believe to conceive. Well, let me tell you, we didn't believe, and there was not going to be the conceiving of a child or anything, business, anything. And we were just so stuck and just feeling like no matter what we did, something else went wrong and over. And it started to feel like the truth is, I couldn't see. I normally am really able to see, I can see the possibility. And this was the first time I could remember that I literally could not see where we were going. So I remember being on a coaching call. I was receiving coaching and I was thinking, holy crap, we've been basically stuck for a year and a half. This is just painful. We're not in a physical place that we like, an emotional place that we like. We felt so separated. We were just spinning wheels and working really hard, trying to make things happen, not only for our relationship, our bodies, our family, but also, financially and energetically, community, everything was breaking down. And I know that the reason it was breaking down was this piece of faith. And when I say faith, I know that that's very connected to religion. For you, it might be religion or spirituality or belief in something beyond yourself. For me, I'm more of a universe using word person. But so I, I definitely lost faith and I couldn't see. So there was no believing to receive. It was just, nope, I don't see it. And I had this coaching session with this woman, and she talked about a lot of things. It was not even about the topic of being stuck, but there was the comment. She said, "You are not your circumstances," meaning you are not what's happening right now. You're not the story. You're not the thought of what you are or aren't. All of that. It isn't you. There's another version. And sometimes you just have to jump, and then I took it to the next level, that you just have to jump before you even can see that there's a safe place to land. That is really challenging. Now, why I'm bringing this up is that at one point I just said, "Oh, look, I see that there's a place that we can live. Nope, can't afford it. We're going there anyway, because this is where we're meant to be. This energy of this place, the look of the place, the light." And I said, we got to just jump. We got to just jump and go, and the rest is all going to come together. And he said, "No, that's not how I do things. No, 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 no. Wait, that isn't safe. That's not secure. That's not the way in which he functioned." And that rippled off my fears under the surface of, oh, am I wrong? Because I was not in my normal state of mind. And I remember just saying, "I'm going to look at this place." I went and like, okay, it's not what we planned, but this is what we need to do. And it's going to change everything, because everything is going to come with that leap of faith, that unknown. Instead of the unknown being scary, which is what we've had in the last, almost 2 years now, or a year and a half, in the world, that unknown creates such tension. So instead, let's shift it. Okay, so we did that. And we jumped, and I'll tell you, everything else came. It really did, because it wasn't about knowing what to do, all the steps. It was about opening and surrendering to receive and really meaning it, not just blah, 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 the words that we know we need to say, but really from the core, believing it and showing the universe, I trust you, or God, or whatever it is you believe in. I trust you. I'm going to move forward knowing that this is where we're meant to be. Now, inside of a fertility journey, how is that looking? Well, the thing is that when you're, does that sound, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense to you? Have you ever had an experience like that? I would love for you to comment and throw in some moments where you experienced something similar, where you had to or you did make a step forward that didn't necessarily logically make sense, but it felt like what you were meant to do. Does that make sense? If this is interesting for you, definitely help the algorithm, help other people to find this and share it if it's interesting for someone else. So I would keep going just by saying, sometimes in your journey, you're being told, okay, you need to do IVF, or you need to do hormones, or you need to do take these herbs, or this is what I did, so you have to do the same. I can tell you a lot of things, and I am here. I'm sharing with you a lot of the different things that I have done myself uh, for my own journey. I have done with clients and had success, and meaning a baby pregnancy, and the truth is that the bottom line is it's about you, that partnership that I talked about in the beginning with yourself. It's about your partnership with your partner, if you have one, your spouse, your other significant person, and how you work with what comes up. Because that stuff that's coming up under the surface, that stuff that you're bumping up into, that you're thinking, oh, okay, it'll be fine, that's the stuff. The things that in the middle of the night when you wake up you think about, those are the things. And so finding your way to taking a leap that may or may not make sense, or if something comes and you think, oh, that doesn't make any sense, but I feel like I'm supposed to do that, to just trust and move forward. If your partner says the same thing, to trust in them. And there's that rebuilding that's happening after you've had a lot of losses. The truth is that when you've had loss, it starts to layer on top of the joy of making a baby and the joy of being together and trusting in each other's bodies, because part of you is saying, why isn't this working? They're telling us this, if you're going to the doctor, or alternative or not, why isn't it working? Now, sometimes, sometimes there are some things going on with your body, yet there's still that feeling, whether it's done outside your body or inside your body, there's still that feeling of loss. It's not just about miscarriage. It's not about the pregnancy loss. It's also about loss, like loss of time, loss of that joyful energy of creating a child and a baby and a life. And sometimes it just requires allowing yourself. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on here. It requires a coming back to yourself and a coming back to your partner. It's maybe stepping back and giving your body time to replenish, and your relationship to replenish. Come back to the joy. Another episode. But there's so much we could talk about. Is there anything that's ringing through for you here? Is there any question that you have around what I've been talking about? I'm just sharing with you what I feel, what bubbles up in the coaching a lot with my clients, that I'm giving you so that you can create this for yourself. This community that we're in right now, this circle that we're in right now, is yours. And so I'm here for a little bit. And if you have any questions, that's the main part. I'm just going to check my little notes to make sure if there was anything else I wanted to. No, that's mainly it. Is just about coming into the trusting of yourself, and that takes some work. I'm going to tell you. I make it sound like, oh, it's so easy, but no, it's not always easy. I mean, I think words are powerful, so I don't want to say it's hard. I do want to honor that the path is like this, right? Where you feel like, yeah, this is working, this is great, and then you get into a dip and you think like, what are we doing here? Maybe we should just give up. Those are the moments that the pregnancies happen. But the thing is you have to really, really own that. Like, that we're really going to step back. You're going to step back. You're going to step back and you're going to enjoy each other. You're going to enjoy the process. You're going to come back to just being together and uniting your hearts and making space. If you already have kids, making space for that inside of whatever stories are happening, because that's a lot of input for your body, by the way. All the stories that are going on. And that's what I talked about. Like, being on your own is easy in some ways, because you don't have to deal with all the inundation, the constant of other stories and the pulls in different directions, which can be also your other parts of your family. So yeah, that's where we are today. I offer you up the opportunity to ask a question. And if there are no questions, I will just say that I'm honored to be here. Somebody had asked me in direct message about myself. I realized that I have put it in different videos, but I am I have spent my life being a conscious life and business coach, working in wellness for and corporate for decades. And then when I had my own daughter at almost 50, and I went through an intensely painful and long journey to get there, I realized that as I would run into people, in my other coaching work or just in the streets, that there was a lot of pain and suffering around the length of time and all the stuff that happened between starting to try and having a baby or not having one. And so I decided to shift my work with people and work with midlife or 35, 45, 55 pregnancy and fertility path. So that's my journey. I've had some incredible stories with which in the next month I'll start putting some things. I took all my testimonials off of my website because I did not want to work. I wanted to dedicate time to my family, and I very consciously pulled a lot of things off of my websites, and now they'll slowly come back on as my daughter's in kindergarten. And so, yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. I encourage you, if you're new here, definitely do click subscribe so that you'll get a chance to see, what's coming up next. And again, there are the free things down below where I've got just some simple steps to pregnancy, which, actually is really great because sometimes you look at and you realize, oh, look what I'm doing right. And that's important too, to remember what you're doing right and add some twists in there. And, the piece about loss is in there too, those links. And if they're not, then I'll put them in shortly. And there'll also be the link for the next week, which is on the 22nd, Universal Sacred Number. And so we're going to talk about scarcity and abundance because that is very interconnected with pregnancy. We hit on that a tiny bit today with my story, but we're going to take it the next step and talk about, where there's the, no, there's not enough time. I'm running out of time, and what happens as a result of that. All right. I wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the other side.